Olympic Peninsula, it is so active. Like my first day of going out and like taking some videos and like, to start the research here, I have about 20 minutes.
Welcome back to the Jupiter Podcast. I'm your host, Tom Franklin. Today, we have on the wonderful, the powerful Barb Hartman, and we're going to be talking about things that's been happening on our property, updates. She's been on before, and so I was like, oh, let's have her on again. Let's do some talk. She's really good at what she does. I hope I'm okay with what I do, and together we make a good podcast. If you keep finding yourself, come back to the show, please do me a favor, like and subscribe. Go ahead and download all your Aya Jupiter needs over at Spotify, Apple, everywhere you can find your podcast. They're there. Go ahead and leave me a rating. That would be really nice to help me in the algorithm. You can go ahead and get yourself some merchandise, links down below in the description, and everything else I've been talking about down below in the description. So that was a really quick intro. I enjoyed it. What about you? Okay, good. So without any further ado, let's welcome to the show, Barb Hartman.
Hi, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being on. I dropped the ball the first time we tried to record, and then the second time you kind of half dropped the ball. It was not really your fault. Things happen in life, but we both. So this is the third time around.
Third time's the charm. It's working out. I felt so terrible. Yeah, last week because we I'm at our we bought a short-term rental house. I want to stay here as much as possible. It's at the beach at Pacific Beach on the Olympic Peninsula in Washington State, and we took possession about a month ago, and we're just doing some things, before, again, putting it on the short-term market. But it's been crazy out here, too, with activity, which, that's what people say, that the Olympic Peninsula is full of Sasquatch, and I have to agree. But what happened, last week, we have... isn't it terrible, like things these days, they don't build anything like they used to. Brand new washer and dryer, and the washer has been leaking since the day it was installed. And, the warranty companies back and forth, and now the manufacturer is like, well, I don't know if this is an installation problem. It could be, on you. Like, we've had this brand new washer and dryer for a month. So that was what I was kind of, Yeah.
It made me feel a little better because I just I completely forgot. I was just kind of chilling in my hammock back here, and I was working or whatever, and you were like, I'm waiting for you. And I'm like, do what?
To do what? Yeah, what are we doing?
What are we doing? Oh, it's just a recording today? All right. So, it happens once in a while. I'm not Mr. Perfect, and I was super sorry, but then when, things happen here, and I didn't feel half as bad. So it's okay. Now we're here. Yeah,
I know, Tom. I was like, this is just a podcast, okay? It's not like, I'm here to perform, life-saving surgery, right, or whatever.
It's true, but at the same time, I try to be that guy. I try. We always try. You do. Your word is your bond, all that kind of thing. It's just sometimes, life gets away from you. But you're here now, and Barb, tell everybody about yourself. You're just, but we already see you're a bubbly personality. Tell us about yourself, what got you into what's going on and where we can find you.
Okay. Well, my name is Barb Hartman, hence, ta-da. I am a mom, grandma, wife. I live in Washington State now. We moved out to Washington State in 2013. I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, and lived kind of all over the country with my husband's jobs. I'm sorry, I feel so weird because I'm sitting so far away from the camera, but I don't have a desk here, so sorry.
Not a problem.
And my ADHD is like, ooh, walk the course tonight. So I've always been, into.
For the audio listeners, her hands are moving around as if she was being attacked by a hive.
I know.
Of bees.
Sorry, no, it's just me. It's just me. But I've been involved in Sasquatch, or I mean, interested in the subject, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever. From the time I was a little girl, I remember my dad showing me the Patterson Gimlin film, and I remember we watched some like movies, The Legend of Boggy Creek, which was kind of, at the time it was kind of funny. Like, it's terrible because I know what the people were going through, but and just always found it interesting. And
yes.
Yeah, right. When we moved out, prior to moving out to Washington State, my son, because it's been well known that Barb's, mom's into Bigfoot. And he said, Mom, do you realize that you're moving to the county that has the most sightings in all of the nation at the time? I believe it still holds that title, but I'm not sure. And this is, according to BFRO, I believe.
Right.
Stats. I don't know what, So anyway, as much as I thought, I was like, that's pretty cool. Never thought that I would have them living essentially around us. Really didn't. I didn't understand them. I thought it was more that they were more like not one Bigfoot, but just much more solitary creatures. I don't even thought they were just kind of like, honestly, just big, like apes, and that's not at all what they are. They're, and so, fast forward. So we buy a house, right on the bought a house right on the Puget Sound. And, that's where we started to have, maybe about 6 months after we moved in, which was in 2017, we started to have, kind of, evidence. Okay. The first thing that we had, which I'm much more into the subject than my husband. Okay. But I've made him, and he doesn't hate it, thinks it's interesting. Over the years, I've made him watch all the documentaries and whatnot. So he kind of knows what signs to look for. So our house sits on a very steep lot. And so, and the back of it kind of sits out, on these like big pillars. And what he had noticed, it was April of 2018, he had noticed big footprints under the house there's like a area that's just like dirt and gravel.
Like under the deck?
Yeah. Like a deck, and actually part of the house like comes out.
Oh, actually extends out over the lot. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. And so, and there's kind of steps that go down, and that's where he saw there was one full print, and then there were two partial prints. They were about 17, 18 inches long. Couldn't tell exact for sure but I mean, very, very, very clear. He grew up on a farm and has, been a lifelong hunter. And he was like, this is not anything like I've ever seen. Right. So, and he said he walked by them like 3 times, and he's like, I got to tell Barb about this.
I think it's very interesting. I think it's very interesting. Like, growing up watching the Boggy Creek movie and the Patterson Gimlin film, always being interested in it, and then kind of your life kind of lends its way to what you're interested in. And now, and I think you're probably in your 50s. Please don't smack me through the screen.
No, but, I'm out of my 50s. I was 60 in April. So.
Oh, well, congratulations to you, Barb. You're a very good-looking woman for your age. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes.
And it's just a number, whatever.
Yeah. But tell that to any woman, and They tend not to agree with me, but
Yes.
I just think it's very interesting that, like, your interest and your deep down, the deep down thing that you had inside of you kind of lended itself to later parts in your life, and now it's happening to you. I don't know if that's by design. I don't know where you lie religiously or wherever. It's just an interesting thing.
Yeah, I'm a Christian, Christ follower of Christ. But other than, biblical believer, but I agree with you. I don't know what is this something that, some people say that you're like marked. But I'm not in a bad, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
that,
of course.
And I don't know if that's the case, but it's literally, it's just something that I've always been. It's I'd say that consistently through my life, the thing that I've most been interested in. And really,
wow.
When we think about it, the great thing about being in this community is I found a lot of women that think like me. Because I'll tell you, there's not many friends that I've had that believe or even find it like interesting. Like, why would you? That's terrifying. Why would you even want to think about that? Like, why would you even want to hear that or see that or watch anything about it? That's what most people, so anyway, so fast forward. So he finds these huge footprints. I took some photos. It was pretty exciting. I also had a friend of mine, her husband, look at the prints because it's okay. Yes, he's my husband is knows his animal prints and all that. But hey, we were new to the area. What is there? Maybe there's something there that, leaves giant human looking footprints that we're not aware of. And
yeah,
so
maybe Washington's full of insanely large basketball players roaming around in your backyard.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Who knows? But he said the same thing. He said, definitely not a bear print. And as a matter of fact, he had seen one in the Cascades. So he's like, I got to say, you got a Bigfoot. And he's like, and we have them in this area. So I was like, okay. But after that, and also within a few days of that, there were like I said, we live on the Puget Sound. So very rocky beach. And there's big, lots of rocks, some big boulders. And we found that there were these big rocks that were kind of overturned. Now, that's not something that that's not something humans can do. You literally need like some kind of equipment to do that,
Okay.
And there were 2 or 3, and we thought, wow, maybe this is just some wild tides. But then it was in the same.
Yeah, I'd imagine looking back after what you've experienced now and looking back, like you're starting to put pieces of the puzzle together and you're like, well, that made no sense. And we didn't. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When you go back through things, sometimes where you didn't pay attention, now those things come to the forefront. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it makes you wonder what other things have been happening, that you just don't really pay any attention to. The house itself, it's kind of interesting because we live on a very rural peninsula that is within the Puget Sound. And so we have one set of neighbors. There's so many acres of woods and farm around us. And it's just like the perfect place, the perfect place for them. You got the salt water and the shellfish and salmon, and there's creeks running through there. It's just literally the perfect place. So, again, in hindsight, it's like, wow, but I was also very surprised, like the amount of a clan that can live in one area. But again, I just think that it definitely can support them, and I think that I think that some of them, not really migrate, like they go back and forth, but I think the majority stays there. Wow. And, with the babies and stuff, if it's a safe area, like and the same house, I've had, deer when they have the little ones, and I've had them hide, put the little ones in our yard and go away for the day and whatever the moms do, and so I'm like happy that I've created that kind of an environment. And I think that the Sasquatch have kind of, have realized that.
So like a nurturing, like a nursery for.
Yeah.
So
a safe
you
space.
said you said the word clan. That's interesting. Why would you? I mean, there's a clan is like a synonym for family group.
Yes.
Do you think?
Yes.
Do you think there's just one, or is there maybe multiple in the area? What do you think is going on?
From what I understand, and that I say clan because I've been told that that's what they refer to themselves as, is a clan.
Okay.
I was also, this is kind of interesting, and this is kind of fast forwarding, but again, I had a message one time. I was on I forget what show I was on, and a guy that I know had messaged me, and he's like, "Hey, I want you to know that the clan that your clan is not happy with the terminology that you're using. You're calling him the alpha male, and he's actually wants to be known as the clan elder." I'm like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like I'm starting to get in connection slowly but surely with Native American peoples.
Mm-hmm.
And they this one lady, I don't want to put her name out there. Well, I eventually will. She calls her Northwest Scout, or and she's like the last of her kind, and she has like a 7-month ritual. It's supposed to be a year, where she went out in the woods, and she said there's 5 different kinds. The one with black eyes are this, and the ones with the white eyes are that.
Oh.
And it's a technology thing that we're working out. And I'm just going to go from, because you being on podcast, me hosting a show, you get this terminology through people. But basically when I'm starting with this woman, I'm going to clean the slate, and we're going to go from the beginning, because there's so much that they have to offer, especially this lady. She's saying that, like the Navajo, she's like in Central Oregon, and the people from other tribes from other parts of the country, other people's nations, are like, hey, you're starting to fill in some of the holes of some of the stuff that we lost. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And I'd imagine, that's happening to you as well. As you go along, people are going to say, I've had more experience, or I've had more time, you know what I mean? Because you're relatively, 8 years? Something like this for you?
Yeah. Well, so 2018. Yeah, I guess so. Wow. I think since 2022, it's been full force since then. It's been
okay. Tell me what's been happening,
every
Barbara.
freaking day. So in 2022, and prior to this, I had heard them, and so I knew that they are in fact a thing. We were camping in Southwest Washington State in the Gifford Pinchot National Forest, and I was awakened overnight, and unreal, the sound. I just didn't have the ability to record them that night, and I don't really know if I would have, because I was so terrified. I was so terrified to call attention to ourselves. I just wanted to lay there and just like, shh, just go back to like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? They
were calling or howling,
it was like screaming. I mean, I've heard recordings now. Sounded very human, but humans can't typically like hold their voices that long. This drawn out. And so it doesn't, unless I can't really say call blasting, because I feel like there was about 7 or 8 of them at the time, and they were on both sides of me, like as if I'm laying in the sleeping bag, and they're on both sides of me, but further away, probably maybe a mile away, half mile. So it wasn't super close. Oh my!
Close enough.
I would have died if they were any closer, because it was very, very scary, very scary sounding. But that was in 2019. Then I didn't really have anything until 2022, and we had cleared out an area alongside our house, which is that is just the complete, like a forest line, and it was in late August. Early September, we started cleaning out, because it was like wildfire season,
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been very blessed that we haven't had anything like that.
You hear that, California? Clean your forest.
Right, exactly. No, you're absolutely right. You're right. Yeah. So that's what we did. And within days, my husband goes, well, look, I think your friends, because he had heard about tree breaks. He's like, I think your friends left you a little sign or something. We look out the window, and about 15 feet up, it's a perfectly healthy tree that there's a break of, like I said, about 15 feet up of a big branch, but it's also like twisted,
Yeah.
And, but we didn't have any storms, any wind, whatever. But again, that's not, okay, that doesn't mean, oh my gosh, we have Sasquatch, just another sign, right? Then within about 7 to 10 days, we look out and there is another tree that's about 10 feet away, I'd say, from the first tree. And this is a smaller tree now. And it's pulled to the side. And it's like the first tree that fell is now on top of it, like has it pinned down. So it's creating this perfect X.
Okay.
And I know we knew like that tree was not hit. When that first branch fell, that tree had nothing to do with it at all.
So interesting because, I a good friend of mine, Harley Owens, I'm sure you know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Good friend of mine too. He gets incredible sign, and he'll go out there, and the difference is that, he doesn't live there. So right. You get to see like the before and the after. So you're like, well, that wasn't like that yesterday when I was having barbecues with Bob. I don't know your husband's
right.
name.
Yeah.
Then today it's not that way. I know that Bob wasn't out there with his tree trimmer. What's going on? That's a very, I would say, just a very cool coincidence that you get to see the before and after.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Yeah, I really think so. But it's also a case where, like, if people, they're not paying attention, they're not even going to know that it's something potentially. Okay, so at this point, though, because I talked to some friends, on that are researchers, and we just kind of figured we had like a situation. Well, this is even prior to that, where one of the it's a bank that has these plants that form this like kind of a mat for erosion control, and they have roots that go way down. It's hard to dig them up. It's hard to break the roots. Well, this whole like side of this hill was torn up, and there again, that's completely overnight. And it was also just outside of the perimeter of cameras that we have, because we have a perimeter of cameras, which we've had for shortly after, we moved in around the house. Want to see if there's any entrance points, for somebody that's going to try, and so we caught a lot, safety. So we've caught a lot of wildlife on those, but, and really it's perfect because it is so steep, and there's not a lot of ways down to our backyard. So with that being said, I don't know how something that could have torn that hillside up, how did it get there? But again, that's not.
I'm not saying I don't believe. Do you have because I lived in Germany and Europe, and we had, I don't live there no more, wild boars, and they would kind of root up the ground and rip it up. Yep, but they would go down maybe, I don't know, 3 inches, and that's about it. That's about it. They don't go any farther. Yeah. So, and I think I know the plant you're talking about. This is different.
Yeah, we definitely don't have wild boars. It's the plant is it's called bearberry or kinnick. And so I found since then though, that the Sasquatch use the roots for medicinal purposes. I mean, the Native Americans did here. So it would make perfect sense, because it's like, why are they digging up the hillside? What's going on? But so again, at this point, I'm like, all right, I've been talking to researchers and, friends of mine, and they're like, here's what you need to do. You need to really start to document this if it's something that you want to try to prove or disprove, debunk. And so I was working with Mike Scott, who is he has a podcast. We had a podcast, Understanding Bigfoot. Good friend of mine, great researcher. And he said, he was kind of giving me tips. He's like, now that you have this X, he said, what he thought was that they had built a blind, because I had a perfect view. We had a perfect view now back into the forest, which I'm like, this is so cool. There's a grove of aspen trees and I can watch that. Well, that was quickly, kind of closed off with that X. Like, no, you're not. So, so what Mike had given me some tips on what to do, and there was an area that that is just a very short walk, short hike from our house, and that I'm like, I'm going to go in there. I think that's where they're at. I've seen some weird tree structures. I've seen teepees. I've seen a little wood igloo sort of thing. I'm going to go in there, and I'm actually going to start to video and kind of document. And so Mike said, no, don't have a video going. You probably shouldn't even take your phone, but if you do, just don't even have it, because he said you're not going to get anything if you have your phone going. So I thought, well, okay, I think I'm going to have my phone going anyway, because I didn't want to see a Sasquatch at that point. I did not want to. I was like, I'm too scared of that. I want to go in and walk around and see what I can see and document and take some pictures and take some video. So I thought what I would do is I would put my phone just hanging around my neck in a lanyard, plastic lanyard, and see what, just document, it's there going, whatever. And so after about an hour, I was saving this one area, which is where this little wood igloo kind of thing is. I thought I'd save that for the end. So I did. I was in there about an hour. When I'm about 15 feet from this wood igloo thing, and I hear a double grunt. Like you could feel it, like in here, I could feel this grunt. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, what the heck was that? I mean, I don't know what else it could have been, except that, I mean, I wasn't sure, but I thought, listen, I'm not going to turn around and run. So I kind of backed up, slowly, because if it is some sort of a predator. So I back up and then turn around, and I thought to myself, what some researchers would say would just go further, but no, that's not what I was going to do. I was not going to do that.
Plus, I'm with you. Don't trust me. I'm with you. I'll be backing up. I'll be doing the moonwalk out the woods too. Don't worry about it.
I'll tell you what, to this day, I still research that way, because I feel I've been more successful doing that. Like, yeah, maybe, you go and you get whatever, some great picture, some recording, but how much have I, ticked off the Sasquatch?
Right. It's a matter of respect, I'd imagine.
Exactly. And that's so. So I ended up, all right. So after that, turning around, then I get hit with, I guess, which I didn't know anything about, infrasound or people getting like zapped or anything like that. But so hearing that, walk about 15 steps back, turn around, and I'm like looking over my shoulder. I'm just going to walk slowly back to my house. And then I'm hit with this wave of like vertigo, extreme dizziness, just like I felt like I'm almost like I was in a dream. It was like it just a little bit sick to my stomach, but it was just more like just so disoriented. Okay. And I thought, what is happening? And I was thinking that am I having am I having a heart attack or a stroke or something? What's going on? And then as quickly as it came over me, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute. I mean, I know it was a while, but it wasn't a long while. The feeling just left. It was like, whew, it's gone. And I'm like, oh, wow.
And this is as you're walking. This is as you're walking away, getting further away.
Yes. But what I didn't realize at the time, and this is the weird thing, is I wasn't walking toward my house. I'm walking away from my house and toward this like deep ravine. Okay. And I have no explanation for what the heck was I doing. But anyway, Thank God it, that feeling left. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
You know what I just thought of, Barbie? What? That could be, it's just, you would try to tie ends up here. Yeah. And like, I was thinking could that be explain some of the 411? Where people are getting lost and disoriented in the woods. Absolutely. And then, end up in a ravine, for example.
Absolutely.
They get disoriented and it happens for a while, and maybe it happens to them for 10 minutes. The next thing you know, they're in trouble. Because
I'm telling you, I don't know what would have happened if that would have continued. Couldn't tell you, I'm just so thankful. Thank God, whatever definitely that I came out of that. But then, so I corrected my course and I'm like, okay, I'm going to walk back because I'm going this way and my house is that way. So I'm going to walk back. Then almost as soon as I did that, though, this wave of that feeling came over me again. And I'm like, oh, crap. And then I'm thinking, all right, this is probably a stroke or a heart attack or something. And I'm feeling like I'm going to maybe pass out, and I'm like, oh, God, my family knew that I was in there, what I was doing. And I said, like, if I don't, and it was a Sunday afternoon, so kind of everybody was home. And I said, if I don't come out in like a couple hours, come and find me. But I thought, I could be laying in there for how long before anybody realizes. And I didn't think look at my phone, I was way too disoriented. I can't even describe to you how out of it I was. And I remember thinking, okay, we have an outbuilding. And I thought, I'm going to look at the roof line of that outbuilding and I'm just going to follow that and walk toward it. And that's going to get me at least to the property line. That's how disoriented and bad this was. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting closer and closer. And immediately when I got to the property line, which is and then our driveway, that feeling was gone, completely gone. Whatever it was like, we don't know. It was like, we don't know who you are, lady. We're here long before you. And kind of just shoo, kind of could be.
Yeah.
And I didn't, and it was, I was so then I'm like, oh, wait. Again, I didn't know anything about potential, getting zapped, infrasound, anything. I didn't know anything about that. And so I was kind of excited to go and tell my family about hearing one. And then I'm like, oh, whoa, I had my phone going. So I look down, but my phone's dead. I'm like, okay, I don't know.
Wow.
Go in. Yeah. And it shouldn't have died. It was full battery, right? It should have lasted. I don't even know. How long does an iPhone last?
2 days? 2 days? 3 days?
Yeah, nothing. Right. And it was full battery. Nothing. I wasn't doing anything except, I did have the video going. Okay. So whatever that would be, but it's going to last longer than an hour. Definitely. Right. So, so I go in and I'm telling them what's going on, and they're kind of like, "Oh, you heard something? Oh, all right, yeah." Then when the phone, when it comes back up, I freaking caught it. I caught it on video, and I got the audio of this. And so,
are you willing? Could you send that to me? Is that possible?
Yeah, I will. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Maybe I could put that at the end of this episode.
Definitely.
Okay.
And I'll tell you. I learned a lot about Bigfoot audio also because of this, because I don't know. I didn't know anything about, audio and all this stuff. I didn't know any, I still don't really know that much about it. But what I believe now is that, so I've had 4 people that are really adept at handling audio, sound, have tried to isolate and amplify these 2 grunts, and they have not been able to do it because there's leaves crunching. I at one point was humming. It's just something I do unconsciously.
Oh, okay.
I know. Wow, great. Like a perfect.
I thought all of a sudden you thought you were a member of the 4 Tops once you got zapped.
Yeah, they're like, shut up, quit it.
I got sunshine. You got sunshine. Get out the woods.
Yeah, and it was also it's just like 3 notes, and it was so funny because my daughter and her husband were here visiting this last weekend, and I'm like, she did the so I don't know where I got it, but she does it. It's kind of
rubbing off.
I don't know. Yeah. So what I think is because of and you can do whatever you want as far as with it, with the try to amplify it, whatever you want to do, that's fine. They were not able to. So I think, and this is what, they've concurred, is that, when you look at at a spectrogram or spectrograph, whatever, of Sasquatch vocals, there is such a wide, we're talking like this versus, human, other animal sounds.
Oh, the range. Mm-hmm.
Right. I think that within that, if you remove some noise, you're definitely going to corrupt the whole crispness of that vocal.
I'll just leave it on there the way it is. It's audible. You can hear it, correct?
Yeah, you can. Yeah,
fair enough.
Can. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll definitely, I'll send it to you. So that was, and you know what, and is, so have to say, before I go any further, the last season of what is it? Expedition Bigfoot, right? That's the new one, right? Expedition Bigfoot, whatever.
You got me. I don't know.
Oh shoot. I think so. Can you edit this out? That's what I love about doing shows that aren't live. And I know maybe you don't, but yeah,
I enjoy this. This is what makes the show.
Bigfoot.
All right, Expedition Bigfoot.
Yeah. Okay. And because they were in Washington State, the last, I think it was the last season, and I watched it. I'm not an avid, follower, but people were saying, "Oh my God!" Although I have watched it, but people were saying, "Oh, you got to watch it because it's like Washington State. They're all in Washington State in your area." I'm like, "That's cool." One of the guys got a recording that is, it is identical to the that I got. I'm like, wow. And he got that, and then there was a response to that. So I think it's there, it wasn't so much a warning. It was more like, we're here.
Okay.
And then, I'm here. So a little bit of don't come. I'm behind we're behind these bushes. So just so you know, and then me, trying to make sure that I got out of there because they didn't know what exactly my intention was. Is what I, but I definitely think that they stopped whatever it was that they were doing in order for me to correct my course. So because I don't know why that would be, that I didn't just, that it stopped. And also that that right when I got to the property line, that it stopped. And I do think, remember I said, I was thinking in my mind, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm such a coward. I need to go back in there. And if they can know what we have on our minds, they could have been like, "Oh no, you're not." I don't know. Again, who knows? But that's right. Just so
it's conjecture. But at the same time, there's some knowing what you know now, looking back, there's a line of thought there. I understand.
Yeah. And so I think that maybe I don't know. It was a while after. When I say a while, maybe a good week or two after. And then I was like, oh, you know what? I said to somebody, I think it was Mike Scott, because I'm thinking of several researchers I was talking to around that time. And I said, oh yeah, I said, I forgot to tell you, this weird thing happened. And I explained, and he's like, oh my gosh, you were hit with what people say is infrasound, or then other people say you get zapped by them. And that's exactly what has been reported. But again, I don't know. I never heard of that. I had heard of people getting maybe sick in their presence, or but not why, because mine was not something. It was incapacitating, but not enough that it kept me. I didn't fall on the ground, and it completely left me, and I had no residual type of symptoms. And some people do.
Yeah, it can happen. I've heard many times where people, I was talking to Tim from Ohio Bigfoot Researcher, and he was saying,
Tim Gayhart,
Tim Gayhart, great guy.
Yeah, he's great.
And he was telling me he was up there and he had a group of I think it was 9 people, and 4 men and 5 women, and just the men got it.
See, yeah,
This is so strange. It's so it's sometimes it's no rhyme or reason, and sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't make sense.
Yep.
But being, what I'm kind of gleaning from this conversation is you don't see them as an animal. You see them more as a different type of species of people.
Yeah, I definitely think that they're part human. I kind of subscribe to the DNA Project, that Dr. Ketchum, Dr. Melba Ketchum, because I don't know what else to say, because they're definitely, this is not just an animal. It's not just a big, ape. I've seen, so since then I've seen so many, I can't even tell you how many. I've lost count with how many I've seen. they're all different looking. I mean, you have like categories of them, but at my house there's very human looking ones. There's ones that almost have like a lion face kind of, but the rest only like in the nose. It's kind of in their lips, almost like a cleft lip. And there's some that look like kind of more like an orangutan or like a silverback gorilla. It just runs. And then there's also some that have very Native American features, like very human features.
Wow.
And so, so the first one that I think I saw was, and I don't know if he was, I don't even know if he was if he was like a Sasquatch or like, I still don't know, or like, they say like elementals. And the reason why he seemed like he was part of the tree. And then
you were telling me that. I remember this.
Yes. And then it's like, oh, whoa.
It was like kind of under the trees a little bit, and you were kind of like, and you were like, it's right there.
Like a big tree, and he was kind of like tucked down in. And then when I saw where he was actually sitting, I'm like, oh, whoa, he's a lot bigger than what I thought he was. And there is an area that he was kind of tucked in there, but his face looked, his face was completely Native American features, like. But the skin was like tree bark. And that's why I thought, wait, am I just, seeing something? But it was. And then when I saw him after a few days later, a week later, then I saw that he had this like really like beautiful, like silky black hair. It was like parted in the middle and kind of like went down to his shoulders. It was like, okay, wow.
So if you had to categorize, how many different types are you seeing? If off the top of your head, you don't have to be exact, of course.
I'd say like at maybe 7 to 10. You know what? I really should. That's something that I should actually really think about. See, I'm not
going to put you on the spot, Barb.
No. I have to get more organized in my research, but I'm also like, I'm an experiencer. It's like I'm in a habituation situation, and that's what I like, because I can, like you said, I can watch things change from day to day.
Right. Okay.
And so, and foster that relationship with them, which is what I've been trying to do.
Okay.
Set like rule. Okay. You don't come into, don't try to get into my house. Don't scare me, and I will not go into your house. There's an area that I know that I'm quite sure that they have the little babies back in there, and I will not go back in that area. Like, I don't know if I'm ever going to go. If I feel comfortable someday, maybe eventually, like if they give me a sign, but for now, no. But another thing that I was able to do is I started to get on our home security cameras. I started to get like a lot of notifications of movement overnight. This was in December, I believe, of 2022. And I would hear, like, listening to it live, which I didn't know that I could record, I would hear like almost like gorilla sounds. Well, then I realized, oh my gosh, I can record this live and save it. And so because of that, I've been able to get a lot of audio. So that's on my YouTube. Most of the good stuff is I have it on my YouTube, which is Barb Hortman, or No Drama Bigfoot. And anybody can go and find that. Please check it out.
Do you have a Facebook page as well, or what other social media do you have, Barb?
I do. I have a Facebook page, which is No Drama Bigfoot, also, and Cryptids. And the reason I started that was because when all this was happening, I was really starting to get like questions, and I wanted to talk to people. I was involved with another group for like about 9 years prior to that, but they were very we don't want to see blurry pictures. We don't want to hear, we want hard concrete stuff. Anything else, forget it. We don't want this as nonsense. Like, don't ask nonsense questions. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm an admin here, and I can't even ask questions. Like, that's
it's maybe for adults, but a different word. Maybe that. Yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I might know who you're talking about. But whatever.
And then they ended up like removing me from the page, and were saying I was like, whatever,
Yeah,
It doesn't matter. So I thought, what am I going to do? And talk to a couple people, and they're like, start your own page. Because the other thing is, I wanted to see, and it started out as something that was going to be predominantly like in my area of Washington State. I wanted to see if I could get local people, because people are private and they don't really, and this is across the board. A lot, I'm not going to come out onto the, into the grocery store and say, hello, everyone. I just want to tell you, that I have Sasquatch. Does anybody else? Actually, that would probably be like an area that you could do that and not get hauled off. But because like everybody, and I've known this now, everybody has either seen one or they have, like
it would be awesome if they had like Bigfoot straight jackets with like Patty on the front, and you're just like, here's another one. There we go. We have a special place for them.
Here we go. Yeah, but because. Yeah, so that's why I started this, and I also wanted it to be, and I still try to make it. I want people to ask questions, any questions. I want people to submit evidence that they don't know, like, okay, does anybody see anything here? Or like, here's a recording. Does anybody hear anything?
Yeah.
Now, and then we'll give you, an honest, or I'll say, I don't know. I have some really gifted like people on, that are my moderators. So some of them can like read energy, and then other ones are really good with with sound and whatnot, so they could say, oh, that's just like an artifact in a recording, because that obviously that happens, but I just feel, and that, so again, and then that's the no drama, but because of the page though, I met some great people that are neighbors now of well, I'm talking like within 5 miles.
I was going to ask you about if you've had any neighbors, like, like they know you and slowly they're like, oh, this is happening. Oh, and then you guys like maybe meet up and have some coffee and cake and talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what has happened. And there's a couple people, one of the guys, Kevin Royce, I've become very good friends with him. And he had just these amazing experiences with them. And he said right to me, right off the bat, like the first time we talked, he was like, listen, I got to tell you, if you think they're just a big dumb ape, you're wrong. And if you don't believe me what I'm saying, he said, you will eventually, you'll eventually come around to my way of thinking. And honestly, like at that point, I was like, I didn't even know. I had no idea. I didn't.
Yeah, it's not good to make any assumptions now.
Yeah, or to form an opinion. But he was right. He is part of a group of people that I now know, like they have been healed by Sasquatch.
I've heard this. Yes.
Yeah, like, I mean,
it's incredible.
Cantrell is a very good friend of mine now, and I'm so blessed to be his friend. Like he's like a living legend. He's he hung around with like, I mean, he knows Bob Gimlin, like good friends. Dr. Bindernagel, like he's the John Green, like the late greats, and he knew all of them personally, and that's just so amazing. And he said, I would not be alive today if it wasn't for the Sasquatch people, because there was an issue with his heart, and he was out camping somewhere, and he felt like almost like an electricity, and he said he could feel his heart, like the heart like beat like it's beating differently, like it was. And
this is interesting. You've definitely sparked something in my mind, because I like trying to connect people. I talked to Kevin Keeney, and he's gonna kill me. They're the part of the Arizona 4, and he has a problem with he has like prosthetics on his hands. He's had problems with his hands. And he has a lot of pain, and he said the same thing. It felt like I think it's called what's it called, like electrolysis or something like that, where if where they put that machine on you and it makes your muscles move.
Oh,
and he said
yes,
electrolysis.
Like a TENS unit, like I know, like it's like
what
it's
is
like
his name? I can't. I'm drawing a blank. He's going to get me. He's going to beat me up. Chris something.
I had medical training, and I can't think of what that
and he said
simulation kind of like
electrolysis. I think is what he called it. And he said, and he had his pain that's been in his for a long time, and then gone.
Wow.
And they're having like where there's 4 of them. They go out to the Mogollon Rim in Arizona. I'm actually going to have them on Friday here coming up.
Okay, cool.
And they'll go, okay, did you guys hear Mind Speak? Has everyone heard this? I go, okay, 1, 2, 3, we all say it. 1, 2, and they all say the same thing.
Oh, wow.
That is, and
that's
glowing
so
lights.
Cool.
Yeah, dude. Barbie, you got to check out my show.
I know. I do. I do watch some of them, I swear, but like, yeah, I'm like, wait, I have to see all this stuff coming up too.
No pressure. We have lives to live. We're busy. I just think it's very interesting. Very interesting that like, what are you thinking? Because, okay, we have, Bob Gimlin, the other gentleman that you mentioned, like the pioneers of this stuff. Now it seems like, don't take this the wrong way, but like ordinary housewives or farmers or, hikers are having these incredible encounters, and it's happening more often. I don't know if it's happening more often or people are just better connected or what it is, but it seems like they're trying to like let us know of their existence in a way. I don't know what it is though.
I agree with you. I don't know either, but I've kind of come to that conclusion that I think they want to almost like be known for what they are.
Something.
I've had maybe like 4. I've had Mind Speak. It's not
Chris
a lot.
Kramer. I just remember this. I don't want to mess because he'll get me. His name was Chris Kramer. Chris Kramer.
Chris Kramer. Yeah. Chris Kramer.
Oh.
I know of him. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Oh. But, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Barb.
No, it's okay.
I'm listening, but in the back of my head, I'm going, what is his name? Yeah.
Yes. And when I can't think of something, it just will drive me crazy.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say now? What were we talking about?
I can tell you it wasn't Dairy Queen.
No, it wasn't. Or anything that I would like.
We were talking about the prevalence of them either coming forward or it's being more reported.
Yeah. And so with the Mind Speak, and what I got was I was told that because I have people that contact me all the time, I have to say, and they'll say I have messages and so I have to kind of go through that. I have to weed through that and vet the people. And some people it's perfectly right what they're saying, but I can't just like listen to everybody. But I was told that they like to listen to music. And they were kind of requested if I would play music for them, particularly around the full moon, because it like soothes them and gives them some sort of like helps them like with their power, like their energy, not power, energy. And so I'm like, okay. So they're like, if the person said like, if you could do this like about 4 to 5 days before every full moon, that would be great. So I'd done this about 3 months, and I have a good time because I don't have any neighbors that are going to see me. So I just get out there and like kind of sing and dance and with
I thought you were jamming Hendrix and throwing it into the woods there, but okay.
No, but Nirvana, because they like
Nirvana. Okay. All right, Bigfoot, listen to Smells Like Teen Spirit. Enjoy yourself.
Yeah. No, it's like what is the one that I always listen to? Okay. Anyway.
Come As You Are, Something in the Way. Okay.
No. Oh God. Yeah. I am a huge Nirvana. No. It's from their In Utero. Oh my gosh.
Heart-shaped box.
Yes. That's it. That's the one. And because, yeah. Oh my gosh. Love. And because it's in I don't know anything about music. There's like chords in it that it's like the major something chord that goes through this song, and that's what this person said. This is, if you can find, just search for songs that have the chords and the ones that you like, that's because that's what they want to hear. Is that?
Yeah, well, that particular song is a drop D. I can actually play the intro. It's been a while, so everyone has like a vibe. Like, so you're digging drop D music. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Which is great. I'm a drop A guy. You know what I mean? So it's a little lower in fret resonance. But that is very. I actually should send you some music, and it might scare them away though. We don't want that, do we, Barb?
No. Another one was the song Yellow by Coldplay. That's another one. I'm trying to think of the ones that are within that. And then Lady Gaga, Poker Face. These are these are the songs that have that, whatever that is. I don't know what it is. They're very, it's pretty like a diverse group of
absolutely.
So I was I think the song that was happening was Yellow, because that's like a very like you're putting out love, and this is what I would do for you, and I was just having such a good time, blah blah blah. All of a sudden I'm hit with this like extreme sadness, to the point where this is where I think like this was not my feeling. These emotions were not my emotions. And I just started to cry, and I had to sit down, and my little dog was out with me, and he's like, "What's going on?" And he has a little Bigfoot toy, and he like came and like dropped it at my feet. I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" It was so weird, because I'm like, where is this terrible, like depressing, like, oh, I'm just so, I know, right?
It's so funny. I'm thinking like, he's like, I see them. He's probably like, I see them all the time. I want to bite them.
I know.
So I'm going to bite this toy. Thank you, Mom.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm like, what is going on? Like, oh my gosh. And then I start to get this mind speak, and it's kind of pictures, and I don't even know how to describe it, because it's like you're hearing words, but I'm more like I'm seeing the words, because in my mind speak, a lot of the words like flash in front of me, like I'm watching, subtitles. And it was essentially like, we don't know what to think of you. Why are you always wanting to take pictures of us? Why are you always asking us to take pictures, and whatever you're doing? Why most people think that we are these ugly monsters, and they're terrified of us. What is what's your deal that you want to know about us and you want to see us?
So they're asking you, like, why are you trying to communicate with us?
Yeah. It was essentially, that was essentially it. And I was like, oh, and they showed me, one of the things they showed me, and I don't know exactly, was that they were, they stay away from humans, and there was a group of them like standing around, and there was a young Sasquatch that was like laying on the ground, I guess, because it was just like I saw this like group of them standing around, and then this young one, and she had her eyes closed. Well, I don't know if it was a she. I just seemed like a she. I don't know. I'm thinking maybe she was like early teens or something. Okay, and they didn't say that she was unalived or anything, but I got that.
Professional, Barb. I appreciate your professionalism. You are not unlifing it.
Yes. Well, yeah, I'll tell you. That's I'm learning.
Well, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, please continue. I'm sorry. I was just.
No. That's I'll have to tell you about that too. But it was just like I was so sad that they had these I don't know where the sadness came, except that I know that it only added to my extreme sadness. Like I felt so terrible that this is how they feel, that humans, but it's the truth, that humans are afraid of them, and they think they're big scary monsters. And I have to say, prior to this, I forgot to tell you, like the most freaking thing that's so important is I actually saw one sitting in a bush one night, and because this was like, again, August, it's always August, and it was 23, because it wasn't last summer. It was because last summer is when I had that like mind speak situation. And so August, all summer long, I could see them starting to come closer, like to the tree line every night about dusk. And so, you're not really seeing like features, but you can see them. But there there's quite a few solid black ones, and they were the ones that I could see that were kind of congregating. But I also don't know if maybe they had that, because there's a whole array of colors, and if they were like blocking the other ones because there would be easier to see, amongst the trees.
Right.
I don't
Makes
know.
sense.
I was like, I want to see if I can get this on video. So I kept asking them, and I walk by on the path, and with my camera up, like if anybody, and I always ask, I always tell them when I have my camera, and I tell them when I don't have my camera, and I always ask, like, if anybody I'm have my camera going, does anybody want to get their picture taken or want to be seen? So it was like, I feel like I was too close to them at that night, that they didn't even show up on, they knew what I was doing, and they didn't even show up. At the very last minute, I was just about ready to turn my phone off, and I thought, oh, there's this tree that would like kind of hangs kind of into the walk, because it's not like this manicured, it's a typical Pacific Northwest ferns and moss and cedar trees. And so when I get to this bush that's hanging over, I'm like, what if I'm just going to stick my phone into this? And so I stick my phone in, and I have it set to like, it'll like adjust itself to the darkness. And so
okay,
that's when I see like, oh my gosh, there's a Sasquatch sitting in there. And I screamed and ran, and I was so pissed off at myself for doing that, because for a long time, I mean, it's a natural response.
Yeah.
But
do you try to speak to them like you can talk to people like, I do this myself. Like, you can kind of like, your intentions is to show them like, hey, it's a natural reaction, and I didn't mean that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay.
But I, for some reason, I was still so like guilt ridden. And I think their mind speak was like, look, it's okay. This is how people think. And why are you feeling bad that you screamed? Because I really, really was like, I don't know. After a while, it really started to bother me, because I don't want any like to think that like they think that we're ugly monsters. Like, that's so horrible. And so I think that this mind speak was kind of, an answer. And I got to tell you about this Sasquatch too, because I got the feeling that she was a female. I don't know. I didn't see anything. She was, let me see if I can get I don't know if I can get myself curled up. She was like sitting like this, but her arms were like this. So she was curled up, sitting on her butt. And there's also like a little, it's on kind of like a little hill sort of. So her legs were about to here. And then she had her arms up like this. I remember that. So all I could see was from the bridge of the nose up. Looked exactly like Chewbacca. I'm like, whoa. That is the thing that struck me. Like, she had a rounded head, and it was like, hair coming down, and then long hair coming down from both of her arms. I don't remember her hands. I do remember that her feet, legs, like solid hair, like just like Chewbacca. She was like a brownish, and maybe had some auburn in, but this is like me seeing through the camera, and then the camera like light, you know what I mean? The
yes.
flash. Yeah. So, and we locked eyes. And when we did, she immediately put her head down like that. And I don't know if I screamed. I don't know when I screamed, because it wasn't a long, but that's, I think, what made me feel bad. Like, because it's something almost like that a child would do, like if they they think they're in trouble, or they're trying to hide from you, they think that, I don't know. And she immediately, I think that it was just kind of like, nobody thought that I would just walk into that bush. And so
are you hearing any like signs? Are you hearing them talk? Are you hearing like wood knocks? Are you hearing them walk?
Yeah. Yes, not at this point though. I mean, I was on audio, like on my audio at night. Yes, definitely. But when this is going on, no, I wasn't hearing anything. But I've had all of that. Oh gosh, what do you want?
Wow. Okay. I think the question I wanted to ask you is, you said there's 6 to 7 types. We'll go with this number.
Okay.
Okay. And you said the word clan. Are you suggesting that maybe there's 6 or 7 different clans of different types, like interacting with each other?
No. I think that this is the same clan, and I don't know how exactly this works, but from what I understand, they're very careful to keep their, like, the gene pool diverse. Yeah, because so they actually will go out of their area, so you don't have the issues that you would interbreeding within your own
right family, whatever. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I think because of that, and actually I don't know if you know Robin Haynes, but she can communicate with them, and she's so like amazing.
Well, I'm definitely going to go through some of these names at the end with you.
That's yes. Sure. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Because you want to talk to her. She's the one that, out of the blue, one day I'm listening to a live show, and it's like, okay, does anybody have any questions? And I was like, okay, I'm brand new. I'm like, yeah, I just want to know, like, do I have Sasquatch living around me, and what? And she's like, oh, yes, you do. And I'm like, oh, and then she goes into this thing like, you have 2 clans. There's about 17 in each. One's maybe 22 of them. And so I think that's a pretty consistent number. There's about 20. And I also think there is another clan. I think that's the clan that that is over, like, where my friend, my neighbor, Kevin Royce, that I was talking about. But I do think that there's members of the 2 clans that are related, so it's kind of like, oh, we're living by our cousins or, brothers, sisters, whatever.
Right, which is kind of like very human, like, especially back in a long time ago, where we in Europe or in Africa and other parts of Asia, where, like, they will have, like, where then they'll have the female of one tribe and the male of another then kind of marry together, so that there's peace between the tribes and all. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
And I'll tell you, it's just some of the things. Like, one of the things I've heard is that there's, I believe, 2 areas, and we're talking about Bigfoot, like, within the, or, Sasquatch within the United States. There's 2 areas that they go to find, to match up, like, with mates. And what they do is they, I believe it's late spring, early spring, maybe, that they do, maybe late winter, that they go, and in our area, it would be the Olympic Peninsula, like way up in the Olympic Mountains. And they take any young ones that are becoming, mature, that they are will eventually be looking for mates. And that's what
coming of age. Yeah.
The clan elder will take them, and then anybody that's ready and anybody coming up. And then that enables them to, let's have like a meet and greet, and you can see, like, is there anybody you're interested, or maybe, I have my eye on that boy.
It's like a Bigfoot barn dance.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so I'm like, well, that makes perfect sense. And I mean, from what I can see, that would be the timeline, because the clan elder, he's the one that I've heard the most. I heard him first, and I heard him the most. He's a very distinctive, very deep, like, and I have a lot of recordings on my YouTube, so anybody, please go check it out. All right. So he was the one also that I had the first episode of Mind Speak. So even before, when I'm on the deck and had that happen, one night I'm laying in bed and I'm listening, because what I do is I kind of do like round robin with the cameras. I'll go to the carport one, and then I'll go to the lower deck, and I'll go to the side deck, and then the front porch. And I just go around, and I immediately, when I go to that camera, you have to immediately make sure that, the recording's going, because I could miss something. And that's what I know to do that, because I have missed things. So one night I'm laying there, and then I hear, like, this the word Mont, M-O-N-T, just kind of like flashes in my head. It's dark, it's dark in my room. My husband's next to me sleeping. And I'm like, Mont, what why would I Mont? What? Then I hear this, I can't even do it. He's the deepest, like, growl. He's a really cool voice. And I'm like, wait a minute, is that your name? Are you Mont? And then it was almost like, it was like he acknowledged, like, yeah. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, well, thank you for telling me your name. And then a couple minutes later, I'm like, okay, do it again. But it didn't work. He's like, I'm not a trick pony, lady, but
so like, you're having these experiences are different. And, because you always, you have people have encounters or hunting and then like they see one and they run away and they're scared and they don't go back in the woods. You're having like, kind of, if you know Ginzabrickus, he's having very, very interesting things happen to him as well. That it's like, and this, for the layman like myself, it's kind of indescribable, but so it's kind of hard for people to understand what you're experiencing because the words are difficult to describe, to put them in the context for the uninitiated, I guess you would say, to understand them. So I can see why it's very exciting, and at the same time, it's very befuddling. But at the same time,
like a crazy person, but I don't. This is my truth, and it's like, I don't know what else to say. And there's a lot of things, like there's a couple things like that I didn't even talk about certain things for a while because it's like, I don't want to tell people this. I really sound like a lunatic. I really do. But
it's hard to find friends. If this is like being such a big part of your existence, you're at your house, you're making your bacon and eggs in the morning, you're repainting the piano room or whatever it is you're doing, right, and everyone's doing the same thing. But at the same time, there's Bigfoot outside going, "My name is Mont," and you're like, "Well, that's something I will bring up at the bridge game on Saturday at Sally's house." How do you do that? So this is kind of like, coming on these shows. It's kind of like a way in which you feel, normal again in a sense, like normal, but not.
Yeah,
and
but
stepping into a world where people are having these same experiences in, you feel like some type of foundation in like, what is this? But at least we're together. And what is this? The sense of community is important.
Yeah. And I've never had a group, like I have this group of girlfriends now, researchers that have very similar experiences. Two of them they're so gifted. Like you would say, like a seer, like they can see energy, they can tell you what this is, or they may not know, but and then there's some researchers in there that and then there's two that are habituation situations like me. Essentially, you have them living around, and it's so therapeutic to be able to have people to talk to, because it was very like it's exciting, but it's super intimidating. And and I still think like I'm when it comes down to it, it's still very intimidating, because if something changes, then I don't know.
Right. It's really weird too, because a lot of people who are skeptics will say, like, where's the evidence? But I'm like, it's all there.
Yeah.
What do you want other than the deceased? But if they're burying their deceased, if they're able to be the best hide and seek players in the world, and they're able to, they could be right there in front of you and you won't see them sometimes. Sometimes it looks like a shadow.
Yes.
And you won't know it, or a shadow of a tree. And then all of a sudden you go, wait a minute, I think that shadow moved.
Yes.
Like, they're so good at that. What else do you want when they don't, like, the thing is, I think they're reaching out to people who are either gifted, who are, I think you're an empathic person. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Like, you can go to a bar probably when you were younger and you were like, oh, this guy's no good. This lady's crazy. Shit's about to kick off here. I'm getting the hell out of here. That's me. I'm the same way. I never had any issues because I always just left. I don't need to be around that.
That's right.
So I think they're reaching out to specific people who are able in a certain way to present their side of the story and try to, and then they go, you guys figure it out, and when you're ready, we'll be here waiting for you. But it's happening everywhere. I was talking to a gentleman in Australia about the Yowie.
Oh,
and yeah. That's coming up next week. Well, it'll be weeks past one. Yeah.
Whoa, what a good friend of mine is an Aussie, Carrie Ann O'Meara, and she has dogmen and yowies and some Bigfoot all living like on her property. And
Carrie Ann O'Meara.
Carrie Ann O'Meara, yeah. She probably, I'll say, when she does her first podcast, she's like, it's going to be you because we're like best friends. but
fair enough.
No,
I won't. Yeah, no worries.
You never know. Because I'm not doing live show. I mean, I'm anyway. So
that Mr. Gary Opit, that's who I had on. He's like a biologist, and he's been in like Borneo and like
oh wow,
like in all these like really deep dark places. He used to be like a excavator, or not an excavator, whatever. There's people that go out and mark the like a person who goes out for the Australian government and like goes and like a surveyor. Okay. Yeah, and he's like, oh yeah, we got the original pictures and the native people and this is that. Which it's incredible. It's an incredible thing. Yeah. And this is it's coming to light. It's I just think like the things they found underneath the pyramids, it's being snubbed and people just flick their nose at it. Yeah. But the evidence is piling up, and one day people as yourself you'll be able to go to the grocery store and be like, oh yeah, you're Barb, I know you. You're one of you're with the habituation out there in the Puget Sound. And so you won't feel that anymore. Yeah. And you won't feel that. So, I mean, what are you just planning on like just continuing and trying to create this relationship and trying to foster a good relationship with them so they don't feel so outcasted?
Yeah. And now, so when we bought this new property, and it's in addition again to our house back there, Olympic Peninsula. It is so active. Like my first day of going out and like taking some videos and like to start the research here, I have about 20 minutes of video that because you gotta like take some out that's like nothing, and I'm not feeling it or whatever. So about 20 minutes of video that I'm like, I keep seeing more and more and more in this video, and I want to say, oh, do you see that? Like, I kind of want to point it out, because you have your people that they're like, I don't want to see any of that. That's BS. But then you also have people like, wait, what are you seeing? Like, can you please tell me what you're seeing? And I'm not going to do like the big red circle, because people hate that.
You can't make it. It's very important, Barb, when it comes to any type of for example, art. I'm not saying it is kind of art, but I'm an artist. Music. The music I like is what I like. My podcast, you like it, you don't like it, it's up to you. You can't please everybody all the time, because if you do that, then you're not going to be yourself. And authentic is what I want.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Right. I agree, because really it is. It's not about what the public thinks. It's not about what friends and family think.
It's what you're experiencing.
In this respect, I want to foster this relationship kind of with them. But again, it's not like, people are like, oh, I'm not like, we're going to go out and have a barbecue together, or I'm going to go over to their house and have a beer. It's not like it is. I would like to see what this leads to, but there has to be this consistent of me not having an agenda, because I think if you have an agenda, forget it. They're going to be like, nope.
So you bought this property knowing in advance there was activity there, or?
Yeah. I mean, because
your husband. Right. Your husband is a sweetheart.
No, he loves it too. He loves it.
You got him. Okay.
Yeah. Because it's in a community, and it's really like a beach community, right? It sits high up on a bluff, but and then the Pacific Ocean. It's just gorgeous little community. And then, but closer to where we're at, there is it's a border of DNR land. So, and there's signs, you can't go in, don't, no trespassing, blah, 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 all everywhere. And I think that I think that it's kind of being used maybe as a sanctuary. I don't know, because I'm telling you, it is so freaking active here. And that is what I'm seeing like, oh my gosh, like you said, I'm walking by and I'm I'm filming, and then there's one sitting like kind of like looking like peeking like oh my gosh, that was so close to me. I did not see that. And I know that one of the things that they do at my house is they'll make a frog noise, and they sound exactly like a frog, but there's not like, you're not going to have one frog in the forest of no frogs. And every time when I go back into this area here, it's like immediately that frog starts. And I'm like, well, that's, what, I don't know if it's a Sasquatch, but isn't that a weird coincidence, you know? And so we've been coming to this place like for like vacation, for the last 10 years, to this community. It's Seabrook, it's called. And we just love it. We had our 30th anniversary last October, and we're like,
congratulations.
Thank you. And we're like, oh, we decided to spend it here. Our kids are like, what the heck? You're going to Seabrook? You always go to Seabrook. But we're like, no, this is our place. We love it here. There's not a lot going on, not a lot to do, but that's okay. We're just, the things that are here is what we like to do. So, like I said, we were here in October, and my husband was like, oh, he wanted to look at a house that was an existing, like a what do they call it? Like an existing build. Okay. Mm-hmm. And we were both like, that's kind of too much work. So, because we have our house back on the Key Peninsula has been a labor of love, and we're still working on that. And we're like, we don't want this to be a big project. So on our last day, so we kind of went around with the real estate agent, kind of got an idea of, we like this little this area, and like the house that we built is just like 510 square feet. I mean, it's tiny, but it's, in this cute little neighborhood. And so as we're leaving that day, again, back in October, and we're thinking about it, we're not sure what we're going to do, but it was pouring rain. My husband's like, I think I want to go and like kind of walk around and check the place out. And I'm like, okay, I'm not getting out of the truck because it's absolutely pouring. I start to see movement. Now, the way his truck was sitting, and I have a video, I'll send you this video. The way his truck is sitting, it's facing that, like the DNR border. Okay. And I'm like, what is going on in there? It looked like somebody in a big puffy, like rain suit, bright green rain suit, was like walking down a hill. And I'm like, that's okay. I don't know. Then I realized that like, it's not a hill. It's almost, it's like moving down a tree, but it was very effortless. It was like somebody that would be walking down a hill, and this thing is moving down through this tree like that. And then I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I start to see like the little, like the peekers, like I can't really see them. You just like your peripheral, and you look over and you can see like the outline, and so I get out my camera and I start to record. And that's actually, that area now is like right. Let me think, where am I at? That's like maybe 200 feet away, that area. So
okay.
I don't know. Was that destiny? I don't know, but I've been having such a great, like, oh my gosh, I love it. And I love to, another thing this is really cool. This community has, they had a local artist do a wood sculpture of this massive Bigfoot, massive Sasquatch. And the first time I saw it, I was like, I don't think that's what they look like, but it is. Now that I've seen them, it is what some of them look like. And they had that down, like downtown, like there's like a little town square. That's where they had it. When we come to take possession of our house, the Bigfoot statue is like right back by us, and it's looking kind of toward the house. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh, okay.
But again, so they want to put it back here. They're going to put it back here because there's other things that they're planning to do, like little fun things. And they're like, this is more conducive because it's like hiking trails, bike trails. This is more where he needs to be. But I'm like,
Awesome.
wow, that's a good sign.
All right, Barb. So before we get about it, please do me a favor, Barbara. First of all, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experience. I love your enthusiasm.
Oh, thank you.
It's contagious. Please tell people one more time where we can find you and see your videos and look in there. Maybe we find something that will help, because that's in the end, that's what we're doing. Is that we're trying. It's the information is getting parsed slowly. It's kind of like the UFO thing, where it's slowly coming out. But this one is going to be. This one is it's too much. I think slowly people are going to have to cave in. Unless you're in the city and you're driving your electric car and you live in your and everything's within 15 minutes of you. Then I don't know what you're going to do with your life. But I'm like you. I love the forest. That's me. Please one more time. Please tell me. Tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, Barb Hartman is my name. And I would say, as far as if you're on Facebook or TikTok, No Drama Bigfoot and Cryptids, but certainly please go to my YouTube channel, because that is, and it's Barb Hartman, No Drama.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe and check it out. And there's all I leave most of the comments up, and I will definitely engage with you if you have questions, or because I'm not trying to hide anything. This is my truth. I'm not saying that this is exactly, I don't know what some things I do, but yeah. So, cause some people will say like for instance, my daughter, who's like super into social media, she's like, Mom, why would you leave that up? I'm like, because I want people to know, like, I'm being completely transparent,
Right. Fair enough.
The other thing, I guess, I should give a plug, because I'm part of the Midnight Society now. It's over on Star Fox channel. We're doing, Kenny Thibodeau is Star Fox, and he and I and Brian Barber, we're doing a fun, it's a fun show. It's Camp Nightmare Fuel. So like true stories of things that are so like terrifying, that you're like, wow, this can't even be real. So we have a series of that going. That's also, you can find that on my YouTube channel. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you so very much, Barb. Please stick around. I'm going to get some of those names from you.
Thank you so much for having me, Tom.
We figured it out. One time you, one time me. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. We are the Eye. We are aware. Love you all, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Oh my gosh. I think I just got growled at.